And one other thing I'll say about this is that each one of these foundational principles, there's a lot here. Each one of these could be unpacked to be turned into an entire course on its own, but we're just going to kind of lay the initial groundwork here. We're going to really try to distill, simplify, and crystallize, and just let whatever resonates resonate how it resonates, and write down any questions, and we'll dive deeper in the times to come. So yeah, the first principle we're going to dive into is just one of my favorite frames on life itself. We're just going to start with the broadest view of life itself, reality, being. And so what we've got here is that life is a gift. An entirely new multiverse is gifted to us in each nanosecond. Each instant is a never before seen divine artwork of limitless detail and subtlety. Your normal life, just as it is worth infinity dollars. We have been born in a boundless treasure chest, and the main thing that blocks us from noticing this are all our fixed beliefs about what life is. So there's a lot here. There's a lot that could be unpacked here. I think the last sentence seems really crucial to me. If you feel into how we all felt as children when we were infants, or when we were just small toddlers before we'd been conditioned with a lot of beliefs about life, in a certain sense, we were in our natural state at that time. We were just in this state of pure wow. We couldn't even say what life is. It was just pure wow. It was just pure kaleidoscopic wowness, awe and wonder, playfulness, innocence, and just all you could really do was just kind of laugh, or cry about it. And it was just pure mystery. And that pure mystery presents as an infinitely detailed artwork in every nanosecond. Every single moment, if you look closely, has never appeared before. You've never experienced this moment before. You'll never experience it again. Every moment is like a precious, infinitely detailed artwork from the hand of divinity, from the hand of mystery, from the hand of the creator, however you want to conceive of that. And it's really just at a certain point we internalized so many beliefs about life that prevent us from noticing this infinite artistry that is all around us. It's really just all of our fixed concepts about what life is. We tend to see life only in terms of those concepts, only in terms of our words, our language about life, and we overlook the subtlety, the mystery, the artistry that is here in every moment, that is truly priceless, that is truly precious. So that's going to be an ongoing theme. That's a big theme in my work. This idea that life is fundamentally a gift. We've been born into a treasure chest. We just don't let ourselves notice that a lot of the time because we're so locked into fixed beliefs about what life is, and it prevents us from accessing that childlike state of wonder. So I'm going to start with that as a fundamental frame here. Yeah, born into the garden, Jay says. Yeah, in a profound sense, born into the Garden of Eden, and the fall occurs when we buy into the knowledge of good and evil in a profound sense. When we develop fixed beliefs that I know what life is, I know what I am, I know what's good and bad and what's this and that, it locks us into a very narrow frame, and we cease to be able to recognize the beauty, the wonder, the majesty, the mystery that's all around us, the enchantment. So, yeah, so that's a foundational perspective on life that I invite you to sit with. The next principle that we're going to dive into here is the principle of leadership. So, what I have here is leadership is simply bravely being you. Let your real, vulnerable heart be seen. Give your natural gifts. Connect to beings through organic heart love, and let this love be an invitation toward togetherness, co-creation, and freeing our children and our inner children to be real, to be free, and to blossom in symbiotic wholeness with each other, with the whole, with the current stage of life. So, yeah, this may be a very different perspective on leadership from what you may have heard before, or a lot of perspectives on leadership that are out there. To me, a true leader and the beings that have most inspired me in my life are simply beings who have set themselves free to really and bravely and truly be themselves. For me, that's a true leader. For me, that's a true trailblazer and somebody who is really showing humanity the path forward. Because to me, when I tune into a vision of Eden or a vision of heaven, a vision of Shambhala, it just feels like we're all able to just finally be ourselves. We're just finally able to drop the masks, drop the pressure, drop the endless feeling of, oh, what are they going to think of me? So I need to put on this particular, costume in this particular context. And instead, we're just all able to return to that pure childlike innocence of just being ourselves, playing, expressing, being authentic, being real, being honest. That for me is a vision of paradise that deeply resonates in my heart and soul. So for me, when I see beings bravely being themselves and just bravely shining that full peacock's tail of feathers, dancing their dance, singing the song that only they can sing, which, may not look like singing and dancing. We all have our unique gifts to give. Just giving their unique gift, that is what really lights me on fire. That's what truly inspires me. That's what activates me. And that being to me is a leader, even if I don't, even if that being is not like a leader of a team I'm on or an organization I'm in, that being to me is a trailblazer, a true leader who's inviting everyone else to join the dance and join their own authenticity. So that for me is a foundational crystallization of what leadership means in the context of this container. The next principle that I'm going to dive into here is creatorship. Creatorship you can also think of as artistry. So in my view, life is art, or this is a perspective I really like to play with. Life itself is art. Everything around us is art. Everything around us is a divine creation of nature, of universe, of mystery, source, divinity, God, whatever name you give to that innermost source of all that is. Life is an artistic masterwork by that source of infinite detail in every direction. So life is art. We are always creating. Create what flows naturally from intrinsic motivation. Create beautiful and medicinal artifacts that would be a godsend to younger versions of you. Creation is inherently fulfilling and therapeutic. Express you. So just realize that you're already doing this. You're always doing this all the time. In the clothes that you wear, the way you wear your hair, the way you speak your words, the way you dance in a conversation, the way you've chosen where to live or chosen how to decorate your house. We're all continuously participating and co-creating in our environment, in our reality. So we all are creators. We just often don't recognize that this is the case. But when we start to recognize that, we can really let that flow in a new way. We can let that creativity flow in accordance with our natural gifts. We can bring that into any area of life that we want, any area of life that feels inspiring, that feels alive, that feels curiosity provoking, that feels magical or enchanted. A key piece there is create what flows naturally from intrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation means you don't have to contrive a motivation for it. You don't have to force yourself to do it. It's just bubbling up out of you. It just wants to come out of you. It just feels good. Like for me, that's like creating spaces like this, making music, making writing. These things just naturally want to happen within me. I don't have to force myself to do that. It just comes naturally. So whatever you can do to contact that intrinsic wellspring, that intrinsic geyser of motivation that wants to erupt through you and create things in the world, that's the wellspring to contact, because that is what can truly motivate you for a lifetime. That's the type of inspiration and motivation that can make you feel like you just want to create for a lifetime. You don't even care about retirement. Sure, you might want to be financially free at a certain point, but you want to create for the rest of your life because you just love what you're doing that much that you don't want to stop. You're like, why would I stop creating? Sharing my gifts is like lifeblood for me. This flows naturally. So tune into what that might be for you. Carl Jung said, what did you do as a child that made the hours pass like minutes? Therein lies the key to your earthly pursuits. So oftentimes within childhood, when we tune into like what set us on fire as children, what did we do that just allowed us to drop into that flow state of pure play, often there we can find the clues and the keys that can allow us to discover what our deepest dharmic calling is in this lifetime. So that is creatorship. Next principle is a principle of space holding. So for space holding, what I have here is be you, be spaciousness, be loving presence, trust your intuitive medicine. Know this, you are the medicine. Your heart is the medicine. Your care is the medicine. There are no fixed rules of what space holding has to look like. Play and innovate to find your medicine. Be a simple mirror from a space of unknowing. Be available for what wishes to breathe through you. So just tuning into that from just feeling into holding space. Holding space can sound like an esoteric concept. A lot of people have never even heard the term holding space, and yet we are continuously holding space for each other in this life, right? We're continuously in relationship. We're in relationship with the earth, with our friends and family, with everyone around us, and we are continuously asked to hold space for each other, which in a most fundamental sense just means we're asked to create some kind of container of relationship, some kind of container of quality presence where relationship can occur, where authentic relating can occur. And it's interesting that we're never taught about space holding and about how to actually be a safe space, be a loving presence, be a space in which other beings can feel free to be themselves. For me, that's the pinnacle of space holding. The pinnacle of space holding is a space where beings just feel completely free to be real, to drop the masks, to be themselves. They don't feel like they have to put on some kind of spiritual costume. They don't feel like they have to hide their shadows or the skeletons in their closet. They don't feel like they need to present their most perfect, their most perfect self. They feel like, I'm free to be me in this space. I can be real. I can be free. And another key point here is that there are no fixed rules of what space holding has to look like. This is something I think so many people in the space of coaching and space holding get really hung up on this question of like, what's my modality? What's my certification? What are the rules that have to govern the way that I hold space? And I don't have anything against modalities and certifications. I've learned many modalities. I've never, to be honest, I've never actually gotten an actual certification for anything. I've been doing this for like 12 years, coaching for 6 years. I never got a certification. So if that helps anyone here burn down a limiting belief that you need a certification, then let it be so. I have, however, experienced many modalities. I've experienced many retreats. I've been part of many transformational containers, and I've learned a lot from many great teachers. And I just learned directly how to do this stuff. And then I just dove in and started doing it. And through the play and through the experiencing and through the sharing, I developed, my own kind of wizard's tool belt of many different possibilities, many different, antidotes, many different medicines, many different modalities and exercises and activities that I could bring into any space to create beautiful experiences for people. So there are no fixed rules in space holding. Play and innovate to find your medicine. The next principle I want to talk about is a principle of coaching, which for me, I honestly don't draw a hard distinction between coaching and space holding. A lot of people out there create really rigid definitions around things like space holding, coaching, counseling, mentoring. To me, the boundaries between these things are very, very permeable, actually, and there's no need to really create these rigid definitions. So yeah, I'll just say that. And what I've written here for coaching, you'll see some overlap with space holding. There are no fixed rules of coaching. Transcend and include all modalities and certifications. Don't box yourself in. Find your natural medicine, which may or may not primarily involve a specific modality or specific certification. Be space, be water, be you, be flow, be a presence of pure witnessing love. Practice energetic alchemy and transfiguration to ongoingly self-purify. Know your lineage holder, play, be real, innovate, ask good questions. You are the medicine, own your gifts. You are the medicine. This is really something I would love if this course did nothing else but convey to you that you are the primary medicine. Your presence, your loving presence, your heart, your care is the primary medicine that people are going to benefit from in any type of coaching or space holding context, and just in life in general in itself. Above all, you are the medicine. You are the value. You don't need to know anything other than to just listen and be a presence of care to provide literally limitless value to people on this earth. Like the number one medicine that is needed on this earth at this time is just present, caring human beings with their heart open, who are able to deeply listen, deeply communicate, not project fixed beliefs onto others, but instead just let others be what they are. So just know that, just let yourself feel that in this moment, that you are the medicine. And to touch on a couple of these other points that are a little more esoteric, so require a little more unpacking. Practice energetic alchemy and transfiguration to ongoingly self-purify. So there's a lot of ways this can look. This is essentially, I'm just saying, if you're doing a lot of coaching and space holding, you need to discover ways to be cleaning and transmuting energy regularly. Otherwise, there's a good chance you're going to get bogged down by the amount of energy that you're taking on from others. So you need to find your own ways to do this that work well for you. Some of my favorite ways to do this are sauna and cold shower. About 3-4 times a week, I go to the sauna. I say some prayers in the sauna. I sweat it all out. I feel my body. I usually do about 3 or 4 rotations where I go sauna, cold shower, back in the sauna, cold shower, back in the sauna, cold shower, 3 or 4 times. I sweat it all out. Then I go in the cold shower. I say prayers in the cold shower, such as, for example, and I might just say this quietly internally to myself, but, God be with me, clean my heart, clear my field, recharge my shield, equip me with the armor of God. And then I'll visualize like mighty sequoia roots going deep into the earth, and I'll visualize branches extending celestially to the heavens, and I'll raise my arms up like this. I'll let myself feel the branches extending to the heavens. I'll visualize gargantuan sequoia-like roots going deep into the earth, and I'll just feel a cleaning taking place, especially letting the ice cold water just shower over my heart. I just feel a deep cleaning taking place, and I know that it's taking place. So that's the practice that works well for me. Other people may find things like breath work or meditation or time in nature to be helpful. There's many different ways to alchemize energy and purify, but I would recommend finding something like that that works for you. And know your lineage holder. This is an interesting one. Somebody once gave me the tip that he said, like, oh yeah, my teacher told me one time that if you're just trying to be some kind of healer without having any kind of lineage, and you're trying to just hold all of that yourself, there's a much higher probability that you're going to burn out sooner, or you're going to take on a lot of people's energy and it's going to bog you down. He said you need some kind of lineage holder who you know that you're giving that energy to. So this is going to be a very personal thing and will depend a lot on which type of wisdom tradition that you most connect with. Maybe your lineage holder is Buddha or Jesus Christ or Anandamayi Ma or Yogananda, or maybe Babaji or some other kind of avatar or deity or expression of divinity. For me, in my practice, the feeling is just that divinity itself and also Jesus Christ are the most fundamental lineage holders of the work that I do, because I was raised within the Catholic tradition, and I don't really currently have a need to identify as Christian or Catholic, but I have had strong experiences of connecting to Jesus Christ. And so I do connect to Christ ongoingly, along with other beings, other avatars, other sages, and I just connect to divinity and nature. And so when I'm in the middle of doing energy work or coaching work or healing work, I can just at any time, whatever's coming up in the space, if it's heavy, I can just say to myself, I don't need to take this on right now. This isn't mine to take on. I can just give it all to God. I can just give it all to Source. And oftentimes for me, I'll visualize a skylight, because there's this place called Kumankaya where I got married. It's a very sacred healing center to me. And their Maloka, their healing temple, has a skylight that is just this really beautiful skylight. And I'll visualize that, and I'll just visualize sending all the energy up that skylight and just giving it to my lineage holders, giving it to God, giving it to Christ. And again, this is going to depend a lot on which wisdom traditions you most connect to, you most resonate with, but I recommend having some sense of a lineage holder. So that's what I have to say about coaching for now. And of course, we can dive deeper into any of these. Just make a note of what you would love to dive deeper into the most. The next one I want to discuss here is sacred entrepreneurship. So what I've written here for sacred entrepreneurship is real service, invitation, and real lifelong friendships are the foundation of sacred entrepreneurship. Set yourself free to endlessly play and experiment with offerings and in all areas of life. Let business be a simple art form. High integrity marketing and sales is simply clear communication and invitation. Create medicine for other versions of you, build bridges so they can find and experience the medicine, and let natural reciprocity reveal itself. It is wise to frame offerings within contexts people are familiar with. Hold your vision lightly, staying open to shifts, miracles, and infinite possibilities. Act continuously. Start serving now. So this last point is really key, actually. Start serving now. A lot of people spend years kind of in analysis paralysis, like, oh, what should my offering be? What should my angle be? What's my niche? What's my medicine? How do I find clients? In a way, they're putting the cart before the horse, because so many of these answers only emerge through actually diving in and doing the service. It's really only through diving in and serving people that your medicine is revealed to you, and it's a never-ending, continuously evolving process. Your medicine will reveal more and more layers of itself the more that you lean into this type of work. So trying to figure it all out beforehand tends to be more like a self-sabotage strategy. Like the mind is overthinking and sabotaging itself and delaying just doing the thing, which is diving in and starting to serve. And the other thing too, a lot of people ask themselves like, oh, where do I find clients? But in my experience, above all, if you start from this foundation of service and you just ask, how can I dive in and how can I start seriously serving large numbers of people? How can I dive in and just start serving as many people as I can? That's the energy to come from. That's the foundation to start from. Because what you're wanting to reach as any kind of sacred entrepreneur, you're wanting to reach a critical mass of real people who have been directly impacted by your medicine. A critical mass of real people, ideally this means dozens, if not hundreds of people who have received real direct impact from your medicine. And at that point, there's kind of a network effect that can take over, and it becomes much easier to continue doing what you do. More referrals start to naturally come in. People just kind of more naturally start to pop out of the woodwork. Past clients or people that you've served, people you've touched, just start to pop up and want your services again. And of course, this doesn't happen without any effort. You do need to be finding ways to ongoingly communicate with people, ongoingly share your message, probably choosing some kind of platform to be sharing on over time, whether that be YouTube or Substack. Starting some kind of email newsletter is a really good idea, because an email list is probably the single number one most valuable asset that any online entrepreneur can have, because every other platform is really dependent on algorithmic fluctuations, and you could just randomly get your YouTube channel deleted tomorrow for no good reason. Whereas an email list, no one can delete that from you. That's an asset that you actually fully own, and you can have it till the end of time. So building an email list is essential. Substack is currently my favorite way to build email lists and to communicate with people through email newsletters. Highly recommend it. But yeah, so there are basically limitless things that I could say about entrepreneurship. Let me see what other piece I might want to touch on in this moment. So this sentence, it is wise to frame offerings within context people are familiar with. This is something really relevant for spiritual entrepreneurs, because oftentimes spiritual entrepreneurs want to totally reinvent the wheel and create the astral galactivation for star travelers or something. And the thing is, it's going to be really hard to communicate to people what that actually is. If it's something people have never heard of before, it's just going to be much harder to build the bridge and help people understand what it is that you're creating, what it is that you're offering. So I've really found over the years that working within context that people understand, for example, men's work has been my main pillar of income for the last couple of years. Men's work is a modality that's been around for decades. It's impacted millions of men. There are millions of men who've heard of men's work and know what it is. So it's a context people are familiar with, and making offerings within that frame, it's much easier to build the bridge, because men are like, okay, yeah, I've heard of men's work. I've been curious about that. I'm kind of curious to check that out. And then within the medium of men's work, within the frame of men's work, there's still huge room for me to play and innovate and transcend and include the modality. There's still so much room for me to be myself, spread my wings, and we've done so many different things within Brothers of the Ever Innocent Heart within the last couple of years. Some of the guys are in here. I'm sure they can nod along, because we've explored so much territory of what it's possible to do within a Zoom room. And so there's really no limit on what you can do within a familiar medium. But with the rootedness, we've always kept that rootedness in the traditional modality of men's work. So it's a nice balance of a context people understand and a traditional tool set that is known to be effective for helping people, and then with plenty of room to still play and innovate. So I can recommend looking for things like that. To take this container as another example, creating a container designed to help coaches, space holders, leaders, creators, entrepreneurs. This is a very common frame, right? there are so many containers out there that aim to help this type of group of people. It's something that a lot of people want. And so it's a familiar context. It doesn't take that much explaining, but within that, I still have tons of room to do pretty much anything I want. I feel like I have really fresh perspectives and angles on a lot of these things. I can help people in ways that other containers can't. And within this frame, I can bring in all sorts of unique modalities and creative possibilities. And yet building the bridge is a lot easier when I use a familiar frame, a familiar context. So that's a point to sit with for now on that one. Next subject, one that is probably very interesting for all of us. I think it's very alive on the planet at this time, the subject of money. So money's, money is money is money is money. Interesting subject. There's endless amounts that could be said about it. What I'm going to say about it here, it's actually the only one that I have 2 slides for. The first slide offers an unorthodox perspective that you might not have heard before, which is that all beliefs about money are limiting beliefs. All beliefs about money are limiting beliefs. Because money, like all of reality, is infinitely beyond what we think it is. I recommend beginning to examine and let go of all rigid beliefs about money and about reality itself. Notice that no one really knows what money is or what life is. This can feel frightening at first, yet learning to dance with mystery is ultimately liberating. Divinity is mystery. So this might seem like kind of an esoteric or cryptic riddle, but it's something I invite you to sit with. For me, this is not an abstract, strange thing here. This is actually a really visceral, liberating reality that's being pointed at, which is that for me, all the rigid beliefs that we have about life end up creating suffering for us because we constantly try to squeeze life into these limited conceptual frames, and life doesn't fit into those. And it's not like we have to completely let those go. Those can still be there, but as we start to notice that life is always so much more than we can fit within our frames, and this is true of any person, this is true of any aspect of life. Any person you know is so much more than any way you could ever conceive them to be. And money is so much more than any way you could conceive it to be. You don't know what money is. Money is a mystery. So perhaps letting yourself feel that fundamental mysteriousness can already loosen up some of the rigid ways that you might be holding money to be. Because most of us are projecting a lot of stuff onto money. Most of us have a lot of feelings about money, a lot of strong beliefs about money that we may not have examined. And the purpose of this slide is to really just attempt to toss a little shamanic dart into that complex of beliefs about money and possibly pop a few bubbles and just loosen up those beliefs. Because I believe the most empowered place to be in relation to money is basically not having any fixed belief about it. Just let it be. Just let it be a mysterious energy. And that kind of connects to the next slide here, which is much more pragmatic. You may be grateful to see. Pragmatically recognize money as an essential tool at this stage of civilization, an unavoidable medium of exchange, a simple everyday energy that simply is. No need to tell elaborate stories about it. Just notice that money mastery is a useful skill. Commit to develop this skill. And the simple 4-step path to wealth, based on a lot of my research over the years and synthesizing, is number 1, aggressively pay off all debt. Debt, we don't need to demonize debt. We don't need to feel bad about debt, but we do need to get honest that debt tends to be the enemy of wealth. Debt tends to drag us down into denser emotions. Debt tends to not feel so good for most people, and it mathematically makes it harder to build wealth. So aggressively pay off all debt. Number 2, ongoingly look for aligned ways to increase income or create new, potentially passive income streams. Number 3, spend less than you earn. Pay yourself first and save. And number 4, habitually or systematically invest in a wise, researched fashion. So this could be unpacked in a lot more detail. I've actually written about a 3,000-word article on the 4-step path to wealth that's just publicly available. So I'll try to remember to share that in the group, as that can provide a lot more good food for thought on this. But essentially what I'm saying here is I recommend just being very pragmatic about money. I think a lot of spiritual people can get too floaty in relation to money and develop a lot of elaborate stories about it. I think there's no need to tell that many stories about it. I mean, if that's a strong calling of yours, if you want to weave elaborate conceptual frameworks around money, go for it. But above all, being pragmatic about money just means acknowledging, look, money's something we got to deal with. Money's basically unavoidable at this stage of civilization. Money mastery is a really useful skill to have. It's empowering. Life is easier when money is in a good spot. So, and the path to wealth beautifully can be distilled down to these very simple principles. Aggressively pay off your debt, ongoingly look for ways to increase your income or create new, potentially passive income streams, which, there's many ways to do that we can get into if that's something people are interested in. Spend less than you earn, pay yourself first and save. So, on that point, spend less than you earn. It's 5 words, and I know it can be hard to do at times depending on situations, but if we could all just internalize those 5 words, we'd already be light years ahead of most people in terms of money mastery. At least most Americans. I don't know. I know Americans tend to have a lot of debt. It's a sad story. And I think people in other countries do too. But whatever you can do to spend less than you earn, practice radical frugality if need be, consider nuclear options. So whatever you can be doing to be spending less than you earn is vital for money mastery. And pay yourself first and save means, like, usually we receive money and we just spend it on all our expenses in a given month. And then at the end of the month, we look and see, like, oh, do I have anything left over that I could maybe toss in a savings account? What you want to get to is a space where you're earning significantly more than you have to spend. And when money comes in every week or every month, you're just immediately taking a percentage of that. And it's best to automate this. You're just immediately setting aside a percentage of that in a savings account or an investments account. And then you're doing research to habitually and systematically invest that money for the long term. So you're paying yourself first. You're just immediately like, okay, a certain percentage is automatically going in my immortality fund, my long-term fund that I'm basically never touching until I pass it on to my kids or until retirement. And that's how you build wealth. That's how you develop financial freedom. The next topic I want to touch upon is communication. So communication is one of the most fundamental skills in life. It is foundational to everything else we've explored today. Speak from the heart. Listen from the heart. Make no assumptions. Take nothing personally. Be a being of your word. Make your words matter. All perspectives are valid. Be the spaciousness prior to any perspective. Be fluidity that can shapeshift like water. Notice you're already doing this. Hold beliefs lightly. Listen to the spaces in between. Let heart speak through you. Say what is real. No wrong answers or wrong questions. Be loving presence. So these are a few general principles for what, to me, masterful communication looks like. You might notice that there's a lot of overlap here with space holding. beautifully holding space for people and beautifully communicating with people are two sides of the same coin. Understanding how to really be a loving presence that is not making so many assumptions about people, not putting people in boxes, not projecting all these fixed beliefs onto people and immediately pigeonholing people and thinking that we know people, but instead just listening, being really willing to listen and see the person in front of you as a child of God, a child of divinity, a child of source. See them as you in another disguise. Give them the benefit of the doubt, and above all, radiate unconditional love unto every person that you come across. That's the highest level communication, in my view. Just being loving presence. This doesn't require any knowledge whatsoever. It's probably more helpful to forget all your knowledge to be the best space holder, best communicator you could be, because love is the ultimate communication. Love is the ultimate space holding. And what gets in the way of the free flow of love is primarily, again, all of our fixed beliefs that tell us, oh, I know what this person is. I know what this person is like. I know what that means about this person. Oh, this person holds that political view, so therefore they're not on my team. Therefore, I don't like them. If we could throw away all of this noise in the system, all of these fixed beliefs, we would find ourselves in a much more authentic, a much more spacious, a much less reactive space of communication in all of our relationships. So these are a few foundational considerations around communication. And we're almost done here. I think this is the final principle, which is relating. So relating, relationships. And what I've written here is let relationships flow naturally. Be you, be real, be love. Love can look like anything, including fierce compassion. Be formless and free. You are as you are. They are as they are. They're perfect as they are. Change no one. Let all be as it is. The past is totally gone. Relate freshly. Hug, cuddle, look in eyes. Truly see the child of God before you. Speak loving truth. Play, dance, have fun, be childlike, be unafraid. So, yeah, you may notice this common theme running throughout many of these slides is just be you. It just so much in life can be distilled back to this really fundamental principle, which is just be you. Just be you. Be what you cannot not be. Let it flow. Be natural. And, of course, it's a never-ending discovery of what that really means and kind of peeling back the layers of what does it mean to just purely and simply be me. But that's a good inquiry to look into. It's a good question to ask. Like, when do I feel like I'm really being me? When do I really feel like I'm in my medicine, I'm in my truth, and how can I bring that into more of my life? And that doesn't mean that you have to act the same way in every situation in your life. It doesn't mean that to be authentic, you have to tell your great-grandparents about your recent Iboga journey. Maybe that context doesn't require that information. Different contexts have different innate understandings of what is going to be skillful and artful for the people around you. So there's ways of being honest and true that are just, you allow the context, you allow the situation to kind of call forth the true expression of yourself that is most artful and skillful in that situation. And that's where the fluidity, being formless, being like water, comes in, that I've been touching upon. As we develop this grace, as we develop this fluidity, life can flow much more simply, as we can cease to feel like we have to be any certain way or we have to react in any certain way in a given circumstance. And instead we can just actually let the full situation be felt holistically by our being and just let it call forth our most organic expression that plays beautifully and artfully and skillfully with whatever that context is. And that's when relationships flow most beautifully. When we don't try to change people, we just be ourselves, we accept other people, exactly as they are. And ironically, people are most likely to change when we don't try to change them. Maybe you've noticed that. You try to change someone, it's like you get a reaction. There's an inherent like push and pull. You try to change someone, they react, they don't want to change. Whereas if you just accept someone exactly as they are, you love them exactly as they are, you believe in them and you see their beauty, they're much more likely to just expand into that beauty and to feel the grace of someone actually just seeing them and appreciating them how they are. And I mean this in a radical sense, you know, whatever things bother you about people, see if you could just fully accept those traits in people, because the more you fight with those traits, you actually just reinforce the traits. People just double down on their adversarial and their warlike and their discriminatory traits when we stay in war consciousness and we try to fight with their traits and we say, you need to change, you're wrong and you're bad and this is why and you're dumb and you're a deplorable. That doesn't no one changes because of that. People change and soften and their hearts open when they feel a space of true loving presence that can touch the heart. When people feel that, it actually gives them permission to return to that childlike innocence and just blossom into what they always were and were always meant to be. But they're just going to reinforce their shells if we come at them from a place of judgment and a place of thinking we know better and a place of projecting all of our rigid beliefs onto them. So that to me is the essence of beautiful relating, which of course is essential to any form of leadership, any form of coaching, space holding, sacred entrepreneurship, and just all of life. Yeah, so that is the initial presentation for today. I would love to hear from people in the chat again and just kind of hear like any general impressions, a word or two, any kind of takeaway or how you're feeling after that. Is there resonance, or does it feel like this guy's a freak, this guy's a moron, get me out of here? You can be honest. What's the energy feeling like? I'm going to read some of these that other people had sent earlier. Playground Terra, let us play in the garden and be drunk with life. Beautiful. Love the space holding topic. Beautifully aligned. I freaking love you, Jordan. Love your piercing heart. Crying out loud, man. Oh, thank you, Connor. That's beautiful, man. So much love. Sending love. Bathed in truth, Alicia says. Beautiful. Sending love, Alicia. Jay says, resonance was the word that came up for me. Beautiful. Good wisdom's a good reminder. Thank you, Danuk. Jordan's a wacko. Thank you for the potency of your medicine. You're welcome, Mariana. I really appreciated the leadership part very much. A few struggles with a couple parts for me, but overall really aligned. Beautiful, Eddie. Appreciate the honesty. Yeah, be honest about where you disagree and feel into that and dig into that and find your truth within it. There's no obligation to take any of this on. It's all an invitation to investigate for yourself. Francesca, stay authentic and true. Beautiful. Laura, truly fantastic, direct, efficient, loving, expansive, yet precise love. Thank you, Laura. Beautiful and resonant along with inspiration. A Star says, beautiful. Thank you. Teehee. Feeling like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be in perfect timing in the perfect way, Alex says. Wonderful. Mariana says, thank you. It was inspirational to receive all this, and I really needed the seeds of Lionheart opening today. Beautiful. Spirita says, beautiful maturity. Thank you, brother and sister. Tarzan says, I'm happy you're so focused on being real and contributing from the heart in truth to spirit. Thank you, brother. Yeah, realness all the way. So Tyrus, good stuff, really simple and wise presentation. Thank you, brother. David, keep on rapping the immortal rap. Thank you, brother. Encouraging, thank you so much, Jordan. You're welcome. John Queel. Odin bravely being you, and what's my lineage is still lingering with me. Thank you, brother. Sweet reflection. Money is always the most complex topic for my personal relationship conflicts. Thank you for sharing that, Patty. I have to go, another meeting. See you later, Danuk. Take care. Perfect timing, too. Thank you, David. Francesca, beautiful and clear. You touched my heart. A great reminder of my journey right now. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. And Patty, deep resonance with your offering, seeing self in the whole. Gratitude. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you all for those reflections. That's amazing. I'm so glad that a lot of this is landing and resonating with you. And I would like to now invite everybody to take, I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes and invite everybody to just write down in this moment the biggest download or takeaway or anything that's coming through that you want to carry forward, whether it's something that I said or just an insight of your own that was sparked from that. I'd just like to give everybody time to write right now for 3 minutes, because writing is powerful. So take 3 minutes to write down biggest insight or takeaway here. I'll set a timer. About 30 more seconds here. And I'm going to invite you to take 2 more minutes now to write about your top questions or areas you want to dive deeper into. What are your top questions at this point, or areas that you would love to dive deeper into based on what I've said? We'll take 2 minutes to journal about that. right, about 20, 30 more seconds here. And as you finish writing, I invite you to type in the chat areas that you'd like to dive deeper into. If it's just one word or a few words, I'd love to get a sense of, from the people here, of what is most alive to dive deeper into. This will really help us steer dynamically so that we can make this 4-week experience the most relevant for all of you. So please don't hold back. Let us know what you'd love to dive deeper into. Sarah says lineage was interesting. I think that needs further discussion. Cool. So a couple people feeling activated by the lineage holder topic. Space holding. Money as a mystery. Creating a newsletter. Creating passive income. Heartfelt. Marketing. Finding my lineage. Your definition of leadership really resonated with me. How can I embody more of that? That and space holding. Co-creation. I would like to dive deeper in the money belief I have. Beautiful. Intrinsic motivation. For me, strengthening my ability to take consistent, continuous, real action in designing and making my offerings available, and believing in being paid for what my medicine is worth to others. Building bridges, positioning familiar concepts to be more invitational, and lineage as a means of transmuting energy and self-care. Okay, beautiful. How to make fewer or no assumptions or projections about people and about life. Assumptions are the root of all problems. Singer, songwriter, and writing and building an online platform for artists to connect like never before. Bringing offerings into form. I work personally with a lot of lineages and aspects of ancestral healing with Gibby and Mission on Earth, so can assist on that one. Also your guardians and guides, etc. are very close to my heart. Also Jordan, love it. Beautiful. Thank you, Potty. Not to have everything perfect before I dive in. Beautiful, yeah, it's a huge one. How do I take more space, responsibility from a place of natural expression and experience autonomy in relation? Thank you. Overcoming arrogance, overcoming defensiveness. Bridges and frames. I feel comfortable doing this in a one-to-one convo. Curious how best to do this outside of a one-to-one convo. I definitely have a lot of let's build a starship energy in me. Cool. Cool. Thank you, Alicia. Overcoming fears of working through AI platforms. Cool. Cool. No need to use AI unless you want to. Okay, so that's amazing. Thank you. That's very helpful for knowing where to steer from here. We've got a few more coming in. Money. Love to hear more about experiences building wealth versus research. Acting continuously, monthly newsletter. I do think we need a starship or two. Even technology being a root of staying open to what life is presenting, not getting caught up in beliefs of right and wrong, learning how to listen from the heart more and less from the head, self-promotion, find that difficult. You are the starship. Okay, beautiful. All right, so we've got about 10 minutes left here. At this point, I want to open it up to Q&A. If anyone has specific questions they would like to ask and have me reflect on in this moment, would love to hear those now. We'll give space for those first, and if no one has questions, then we could just open it up for general shares. But first, I would ask about specific questions. Yeah,
Quick
chat.
question, Jordan.
Go for it.
How would you take on like the topic of ownership of your offering, right? Like for example, I could go download another coach's deck and present it, you know what I mean? Or I could make my own, or I could perhaps buy a Reiki course and become a Reiki coach. I that was an aspiration, but you know, there's a lot of gradations. There's a lot of nuances in owning your own offering, and then for me personally, chess coaching, right? How do I own, or you know, that's where I'm sort of grappling with is a lot of what I would present, what my spaces would hold. I don't own that content. That content's already out there in the world. So how can I, you know, authentically feel like I am the one who owns this, and but just along all that, like I think it's almost more impactful in your soul, in your core, to own the product first, to make your own product and then give it to the world, as
Hmm.
opposed to going out in the world and being like, hey, here's a lot of good stuff. I like this stuff. Eventually, I'm going to make my own product. You guys are going to follow along while I do this. I think it's better for me to go deeper, build my own product, and bring it out to the world. Say, hey, I've been deep in the valley in the cave. I'm building this thing. I'm sort of stuck between those two, right? How to own my offering.
I would so what comes through is just find ways to make it your own. Even if some of the principles are out there and they're more universally understood principles, there's always ways to add your unique flavor, your unique spin. You can add layers of like lifestyle coaching and mindset coaching on top of the universal chess principles, and you can make those your own. Um,
I think I'm getting more direct at like Spotify. I mean, I need to have Spotify in the background. I need to have other people's music, like chess and music, like the coaching, the space holding is like am I allowed? You know, like are you allowed to use Spotify in your other people's music? Like how do I give credit to the music that I'm not a musician. I don't make music, but my
yeah.
product involves building this sort of ongoing flow of other people's music, great chess out there, some of my work, some of what I do, and how I sort of it all wraps together. But if I, as soon as I put Spotify music in there, existing music out there, my stream immediately gets yeeted every time I go to, you know what I mean? The way
Hmm.
the so I think I'm just like I need to understand the
Hmm.
legal aspects of like using Spotify music in my background while I'm doing things, so that my work doesn't always get lost as soon as I finish the stream.
Hmm.
Because I can't publish a YouTube video of someone else's music.
Well,
Um,
you can actually publish YouTube videos with someone else's music. You just won't be able to monetize that content, or the music might get muted, or the video might get muted. So
yeah, that's what I mean.
I would say, ask ChatGPT that question. That feels like a more technical question that is a good one to just ask the AI and get a reflection on. But
Okay,
generally,
but the ownership
I would
is
say,
what I was getting at, the whole topic. I just wanted you to see the whole vision of my topic. I think we started to answer the question before I sort of like
mm,
got the whole vision out there, right? So like
mm.
ownership, music, which comes first? You know, does the ownership come first when you're going out and becoming a space holding coach, or can you just do it because you sort of feel this little fire in your stomach, and then eventually it'll like I just don't feel like I can actually do that until I own something, you know?
I
I
mean,
don't know.
no one really owns anything, you know. No one actually owns anything. I mean,
Yeah,
ownership is a construct. I don't know exactly what you mean by ownership. I wouldn't recommend spending a ton of time in the lab trying to build something before you sell it. I'm a big fan of selling the thing first to make sure it actually sells before you build the thing. So invite people into a container, make sure that people actually want to join the thing, and then build it as you go. Build it as you go. That people spend so much time just like spending years building something that no one even ends up wanting to buy. It's often just a giant delay. So you can just invite people into a container and build it as you go. Would be my general recommendation. Yeah, I do want to get to Alex's question here because we're about out of time. But yeah, feel welcome to share more reflections in the chat, Chad, and I can share more reflections on those. Alex, what you got, bro?
Yo, I wanted to clarify something on the slide about creating medicines for past versions of yourself and building bridges. Does that, if I have it correct, because that definitely speaks to me and I feel could be of value to others through what I create, is that like, yeah, like going back and giving my, past self what I needed. And then that's the offering that I make available to public, to my clients, um, in almost that same form, seeing as it's like medicine for my past self and also medicine for others who are on a similar path. Do I have that kind of straight away?
Yeah, yeah, great question. So, what that points at is just that your soul clients, like the people that you're meant to work with, they're almost always going, I mean, they are other versions of you, because in a profound sense, we are all just other versions of each other. But specifically, like, your soul clients are going to tend to be on a very similar path as you, and they'll probably be a few steps behind you on some particular stage of the journey. And so your guidance, your mentorship is valuable for them. And so just tuning into what would have been really valuable for me at an earlier stage can be a really good way to discover some kind of offering to make to the world. And building the bridge is one of my favorite reframes of what marketing and selling is. You know, a lot of us don't like these terms because they have a lot of sticky energy attached to them. But building the bridge is a beautiful reframe, because it's just like, no one's ever going to find our medicine if we don't build the bridge so that they can find us. And so building the bridge is really asking yourself, okay, where do these past versions of me, these other versions of me, where do they hang out? Where do they live on the internet? How can I reach them? Who do I know who knows them? Who can I reach out to find these people and get a message to them that says, you know, I'm designing something. I thought of you in relation to this. You know, does this interest you? Or how can I get a message in front of them and immediately provide value and medicine where they will see, oh, this is what I've been looking for. I've been looking for this type of value from someone. I didn't even know I needed this type of insight or content. But building the bridge just refers to all the endless creative strategies that we might employ to help people find us, find our medicine, and recognize it as something that they've been looking for, something that can be valuable to them in their life. And those people are going to tend to be like younger versions of us, or alternate versions of us, or just versions of us who might be way ahead of us in some areas, but they might be, you know, they might be needing some help in an area where we have a lot of mastery, like health or like business or something like that. So, and in a profound sense, ultimately there is no ahead or behind as well. You know, we're all equals here, but that can be a useful frame to apply when looking at a coaching situation. Yeah. All right. So we're about out of time here. Jay wrote, what did you really need at that time of your life? What would have been helpful? What questions, processes, resources, supports would have helped you navigate those life circumstances more skillfully to come through safely and thriving? Yeah, great questions to ask oneself. Great questions to ask oneself. Okay, so Jay, I'm going to ask you to save it for the Telegram group. Send it as a response to when I share the next post or one of the recent posts, because I do want to respect everyone's time here and respect the 90-minute mark. So I'm going to just say a closing prayer to close the space. I always do this in the spaces I hold, so you're welcome to close your eyes if you want. You can put a hand on your heart if you want, whatever feels right to you. But I'm just going to say, thank you, life. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you, nature. Thank you, God. Thank you, truth. Thank you for this moment. Thank you, source. Thank you to all these beautiful souls, sending love to everyone. I hope you've received something from this today, sending big love, big hugs, and may this love carry forward in our hearts. May it ripple out for the highest good of all beings. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Amen. Aho, namaste. Peace. All right, feel welcome to unmute, shout out any final words of ciao, goodbye, silliness, whatever you like, and we'll be on our way here. So yeah, much love, everyone.
Hello, Jordan.
That was amazing.
Thank
you, Jordan.
Thank you. That was fantastic.
Peace to every soul.
Love you,
Peace to
Jordan.
every soul.
Peace to everyone.
Yeah. See you next week.
Peace, everybody. See you next week.
Take those tail feathers.
Yeah.